Hey, what's up, guys? Got another video here to assist you on your Sylvie journey. Actually, what I'm about to say probably won't help you with Sylvie that much, at least not directly. But the purpose of this video is to get you thinking about some things that you might not have ever thought of before. And it's possible that you might even be able to apply some of the stuff that I talk about in this video to your own gameplay in some fashion. And in regards to my previous video, I'm glad to see that you guys enjoy the advice on how important it is to have a strong mental, because I do genuinely believe that your mental is the most important thing about playing a healer in this game. It's way more important than actually being good at the game, because all being good at the game does is it moves the brick wall forward. Every player, regardless of how good they are, hits the brick wall eventually because Mythic Plus is infinitely scaling. So we're all in the same boat here. Everyone will inevitably reach the point where what they're doing is no longer good enough anymore. And when that happens, it's very easy to get into the mindset that you need to be better at the game, or that you need to learn faster than you're capable of learning to continue having fun playing the game. But you don't. You don't. As long as you can learn to block out all of those negative thoughts when you inevitably hit that brick wall, then you will truly have fun playing this game. And don't think that getting rank 1 on the leaderboard will magically remove all of the stress and all of the negative thoughts that come from hitting the brick wall, because it won't. All the leaderboard does is give you validation and self-esteem points. Congratulations. If you get to rank 1, you have the privilege to brag to your friends about how much of a fucking virgin you are. Which does sound fun, I must admit. Well, at least until you realize that everyone who gets to rank 1 is permanently being mentally crushed by the weight of having to perform at their absolute best every single day, day after day, so that they can consistently break through the next brick wall of Eternal and thereby maintain the illustrious prestige that comes from being rank 1 and being renowned by everyone around you as the ultimate grand archwizard of virginity. Now, that does not sound like a very fun way to play the game, in my opinion, but to each their own. So with that out of the way, let's just jump right in with both feet and take a look at this insane build that is just so amazing and not clickbait at all. And I just have to tell you about it because I love it so much. Here it is. And your immediate thought while looking at this is probably, what in the motherfucking ass is this? Well, I'll tell you. This is an endgame build. You would only ever want to play a build like this if you're currently grinding the shit out of Eternal. And therein lies the point of this video. This is the lesson that I want to teach you all today, and that lesson is, do not blindly copy what top healers are doing. Let me tell you a little story. Back in the day, back in the good old days of 2024, when I was playing Cata Classic and the other Classic expansions before that, I noticed that a lot of random people would go to the class discords looking for advice on how to play the game, which seems like a really good thing to do. Except the problem is the World of Warcraft class discords tended to absolutely suck off top players super hard. Like literal mouth open, tongue out, fucking like full on suckage, taking in more meat than Miley Cyrus in 2013. Which is saying a lot, by the way, because back then she was such a little whore, and I loved it. But that's what people would do. They would go to the class discords, and every time they would ask for advice, they would be told that the healers in the top guilds are just so good at the game, and you need to be doing exactly what they do. You need to play exactly how they play, and use the same builds as them, and so on and so forth. And that would actually be really good advice if you played a DPS, because DPSers at top level, at least in World of Warcraft, would just kind of maximize their damage, which is exactly what you'd want to be doing at low level, mid level, and high level as well. So copying top players as a DPSer is actually a really good thing to do. But healing is different. Why? Why is healing different? Well, in this game, Fellowship Healers at the top level are going to be maximizing their HPS and damage reduction so that they can deal with whatever the hardest healing checks in the game happen to be. If you're curious what those are, it's two things. The first is tank damage in general. If you can't deal with the insanely high tank damage in High Eternal, then you're not going to make it very far. The second major healing check in the game is this Golem, the one that pulses AoE after you collect the orbs. Those two things are the hardest healing checks in the game right now. So, top healers are going to be doing everything in their power to pump out as much HPS as possible and utilize as much damage reduction as possible in order to deal with that. And that is the problem with copying top healers. If all you're doing is progressing from Contender to Paragon, then the healing checks that you have to meet are not that hard. Just a simple ramp or a simple combination of ramps is enough to heal through whatever healing check that you're going to have to deal with when you're playing at that level. You don't have to do anything crazy with DR. You don't have to have some crazy elaborate and well executed healing strategy. You don't have to have the perfect gear setup because the healing checks are easy and more just about timing your spells than anything else. So it doesn't make any sense to play a build like this outside of Eternal since the healing checks aren't the most difficult thing that you have to deal with. What is the most difficult thing that you have to deal with at low, mid, and high level in this game and also in World of Warcraft? Well, I just so happen to be the perfect person to tell you what that is, because I have played World of Warcraft at a casual and semi-hardcore level for 14 years. I've never joined a top rating guild out of personal preference, but the entire time that I've played, I've had that top player mentality of trying to learn as much about healing as possible and trying to learn as much about the game in general as possible, because that is what I enjoy doing. So you can take my word for it when I say that I know what matters when playing a healer at a casual and semi-hardcore level and in solo queue, but if you don't want to take my word for it, I will gladly mansplain it for you right now. The most difficult thing that you have to deal with at a low, mid, and high level as a healer in this game is DPSers doing no damage, tanks getting crushed, and everybody failing mechanics and missing interrupts from time to time. Makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? At top level, you don't need to deal with those things anywhere close to the same extent because you'll be playing with a coordinated group of good players, which means all you have to do as a healer is build your character around maximizing HPS and damage reduction so that you can heal through any unavoidable healing checks that you will inevitably come across. But when you're not playing at top level, maximizing HPS and damage reduction is not going to help you with DPSers doing no damage, and it's not going to help you with people failing mechanics. It will help you with tanks getting crushed though, so at least you've got that going for you. So what does help with DPSers doing no damage and people failing mechanics? Well, two things: mana sustain and emergency spot healing. Those two things are what is most important to have when you heal at a casual and semi-hardcore level in this game. Because if you can sustain your mana, you can heal through bosses that go on for 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, etc. Which is really important if you have dogshit DPS, which I'm sure all of you watching this video have experienced many times before. Likewise, if you give yourself a lot of emergency spot healing, like the Bloomshrooms talent, like the Twilight Skybolt weapon that I recommended that you use in my previous video, you are putting yourself in the best possible situation to deal with any mistakes that the group makes, and there will be a lot of them. Because when you play at a casual and semi-hardcore level, and when you queue solo in the Dungeon Finder, everybody makes mistakes often, and a lot of people just kind of play bad in general. The best healers are the ones that can heal through all of that. So now that you understand that, hopefully the talent build that I recommended in my previous video makes more sense. But just to recap, maximizing HPS does not matter for anyone who's not in Eternal. The healing checks are not that hard. Maximizing mana sustain and emergency spot healing does matter because that will equip you with the tools to deal with the most common pain points that you are likely to experience when playing at a casual and semi-hardcore level. And the absolute best talent in this build to illustrate everything that I've been talking about right now is Flower Power. This talent was the most controversial take that I had in my previous video, since I told people that I think flower power is a dead talent. Why? Well, it's because it maximizes HPS and sacrifices mana sustain and emergency healing in order to do it. Since Heart Bloom itself costs a lot of mana and juicing it up costs even more mana, using it twice as often by taking the flower power talent is not what you want to be doing if you are in the contender to Paragon range. Likewise, Heartbloom is the exact opposite of an emergency heal since it takes time to ramp up before it really gets going. The talent that I recommended you take instead of Heartbloom is Nettle to the Petal, because Nettle to the Petal is the exact opposite of Flower Power. It sacrifices HPS since Flower Power does more, but it increases mana sustain, and it also increases your emergency spot healing since you'll be spamming smart healing the whole time, which is the absolute best type of healing for dealing with those situations where people are taking lots of unnecessary damage. Makes sense? That was mainly what I wanted to teach all of you today. But let me talk about a few more things regarding this build, then I'm going to end the video. So, one of the talents that I didn't take in this build, which might surprise you, is Synchronized Fluttering. When I literally just said in my last video that you need to take Synchronized Fluttering and Flutter Swift at the same time and not one or the other. Why am I now deciding to only take Flutter Swift? Well, again, it's because this build attempts to maximize HPS. And if you think about it, Synchronized Fluttering doesn't actually increase your HPS. The HPS that you would do while holding down pink butterflies with Synchronized Fluttering is actually similar to the amount of HPS that you would do if you just maintained 2 pink butterflies and used Restore Life every other global. Now, I haven't mathed out which playstyle does precisely more or less HPS because I'm not a fucking nerd, but I can tell in my head that the HPS is similar. Obviously, the downside of doing the Restore Life strategy is that your mana bar gets crushed, but that does not matter at top level for various reasons. The main one being that you'll have lots of gear so you can get away with it. The other controversial talent choice is Bloomin' Shroom Booms. Why did I put a point into this talent when you can get 20% damage reduction with Elusive Wilding? Well, the reason is because during the Golem, you'll get at most 2 uses of Elusive Wilding, and I just don't think that the value of that damage reduction is comparable to the potential healing that you could do by weaving in Bloom Shrooms between Restore Lives when the damage of the Golem ramps up. And on top of that, Bloom Shrooms is insanely good for tank healing because again, you can weave the Bloom Shrooms in between Restore Lives, whereas Elusive Wilding doesn't affect tank healing at all. So that's about it for the talents. Everything else is obvious. Now, in regard to gems, you're just going to kind of want to go full yellow, which makes sense, because more haste is more healing. And there's also a really good survivability tool in the yellow columns, so it's definitely worth it. But if you wanted to be an actual freak, like a raw sexual freak, you could try going all purple gems instead of going all yellow gems, because there is some kinky shit in there, let me tell you. Now, I wouldn't do it personally because I'm not a sexual freak. I'm more of a beta simp at the end of the day. But if you like to live on the wild side, you could try going full purple gems for the ultimate kinky golem healing potential. If I'm understanding the purple gem bonuses correctly, then I could see a world where it's better. But I'm still not sure, and I'm too scared to actually try it myself. One last thing before I end this video. I would just like to inform all of you that this game is actually really good. It's the only game that I've seen in the MMO space throughout the past 20 years that is actually genuinely a good game. So I really hope it does well. Admittedly, there's a bunch of things that I don't like about the game. For example, I think Mythic Plus is a flawed system in many ways. I don't like how fast-paced the healing is. I'd prefer for the health bars to not spike up and down so fast. And I don't like the Fortnite graphics, but I know a good game when I see one, and this is a good game. The systems are great, the healer class design is immaculate, both Sylvie and Vigor are fantastic, very difficult to figure out how to play properly, but at the same time, fairly easy to get into, which is exactly how I think the game should be. So, I really hope this game doesn't die in a month, because if it does, I will literally curl up into a ball and cry. Anyways, that's the end of my video. Bye-bye.